Welcome back to Jedi Enclave. I'm Daniel.
I am Chris.
And if you're noticing that we're 15 minutes late, it's because we're 15 minutes late. Very much out of our control.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
Yeah. We're here now. It's okay. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. How are you? Also, Chris, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. I'm having family over for Thanksgiving tomorrow, and I've just been running around with my head chopped off, trying to get shit ready for it. But
turns out that preparing a metric fuck ton of food is more work than you might think.
Yeah, my my in-laws are going to be here, and I don't know. We get along now, but it took a solid 14 years for that to happen. So welcome to our live show where we talk about Star Wars and Star Wars related things and comics and nerdy stuff.
And sometimes things that aren't Star Wars at all, like MCU or Game of Thrones, or
really depends on what mood we're in. And today we're very much in a Star Wars mood because, as you've probably heard, Andor, the new series on Disney Plus, had its finale today, and we are going to be talking the fuck out of that. In fact, that's what the whole show is for.
Season finale, not show finale.
Finale. Sorry, yeah,
because there's another whole season.
In fact, they started filming the season 2. They started filming yesterday. So
cool.
Yeah, so it's it's that they because that they renewed it for a second season before we even saw the first season.
Yes, and I understand now why they did that.
Yeah, because they like a bunch of executives watched it and they're like,
"This is really fucking good."
Yeah. So, who knows? That'll be a couple of years even still before we see anything like that.
I think the expectation is that, it's about 2 years from now when season 2 will come.
Yeah. Before we get started, a huge thank you to our friend Connor at the Star Wars Hub and Star Wars Veritas, who's very much a partner of ours and has been a great guy. And those are both great pages on Facebook. You should check them out. Very positive atmosphere Star Wars pages. Which is really great. And before we after this, whenever we're done here, we might go over a few minutes because we started a few minutes late. We're going to do our Battlefront stream. Sadly, you can't be here with me, but you'll be there in spirit.
Absolutely.
We'll be playing Battlefront right after this. So if you could take a moment real quick, like the video, share it in places where you think it would be appreciated or not appreciated, depending if you like the person or not. Please do that. And before we get going, we've been doing these like non-spoiler kind of review, like quick reviews, and I've been saying the same thing every week just because it's like this. I am in love with the same thing every week, which is like this 40 to 50 minute episode format is really good for Star Wars because it just allows the storytellers to take their time with the story. Nothing's rushed. And it's nice to have a post. I know we're not like out of COVID, like people are still getting COVID and shit, but like it's not as crazy as it was. So they're able to spend a little bit more money on it, and like filming stuff is easier, and so like all of this stuff has kind of like come together to make this brilliant show. And I've said this about 1 billion times. I said it on the stream last night, and I think you and I both more or less agree with this on this, where like when they announced the Disney Star Wars shows, Andor was at the bottom of the list interest-wise until we saw like the first trailer, and I was like, oh shit, this might actually be good. And it turns out it's the best Star Wars we've had since I don't know, Mandalorian season 2 probably. And
I think that's about fair.
Yeah. It's been absolutely fantastic, and like all the same stuff continues to be just perfect every time. That like the music played such a huge role in this episode.
Oh god, I really want to give a special shout out to the music there. Like this is not a spoiler, but the opening theme is a little different every single episode.
Yeah,
so when I heard it on this episode, I was like, okay, that's weird. It's like not quite in tune.
Yeah,
and then it made sense later.
Yeah,
and God, the music was fantastic for this episode. I really loved it.
Yeah, I was in love with it.
I think we also have to give special mention to just the entire cast, because holy shit, every single character is so well acted.
There isn't like there isn't a single weak character in this show, because most shows have like one or two characters who, and what's even crazy is that the cast member that that is also in Game of Thrones, but plays the waif in Game of Thrones. I'm now convinced that they just wasted her actor. Because I hated her in Game of Thrones, and I was like, oh, she's kind of cringy, and I don't like her, and she's like, or like her dialogue's kind of, I don't know, maybe she's learned a lot about acting since then, but like I thought even she was absolutely fantastic.
I think there's a lot of difference made by writing and directing. Like the same actor in a different context can be totally different just because of the instructions they're giving and what they have to work with.
Right. Oh, also, hello to Gonzalo and John. This is a live stream, obviously. At least when this is airing. When you watch this later tomorrow, whatever, it's not live. But right now it's live. So feel free to put your thoughts in the comments. When we have time in between beats, we'll read and respond. Keep it. We don't mind. We don't. If you didn't like Andor and if you have like serious, well thought out issues with it that you want to share them, because we'll probably argue with you about it, but don't just drop in and be like, oh, this fucking sucks, because you fucking suck. Think out your argument more than just, oh, this fucking sucks.
Yeah.
So yeah, a reminder that we're live. We are keeping an eye on comments. Now going into this, this is your last chance to cover your face and run the fuck away, because we're spoiling the first second to the last second. Which, by the way, there's a fucking after credits thing that was really didn't add too much to the story. Kind of confirmed what we already knew.
It was satisfying.
Yeah, it was, and we're covering all of that. So if you don't want it spoiled, if you've not seen it, please go watch it. Come back later. You've been warned. Here's the spoiler tag on your screen now. Now you can't bitch at anyone because it's written in plain fucking English right there. So now you know. And I got a little slideshow. Let's go. Let's start.
Okay.
Tell us what happened.
Previously on Andor, Aunt Petunia died, and everyone in the fucking galaxy is converging on Ferrix. Cassian because he wants to say goodbye to Aunt Petunia, and everyone else because they're looking for Cassian.
Yeah.
To capture and or kill.
Yeah, it's one of the themes that I love so much about this episode is just everything comes together. Everyone, all the right people are in the right place at the right time, and it's just one little spark of action, and everything just goes to shit, and it's so fucking good.
So, our first shot of the episode is someone like welding, working on electronics and stuff. This is
soldering.
Yes. So, the guy whose shop Bix goes to when she needs to talk to Luthen.
Yes.
So that guy got captured by the Empire and tortured, and I think he's dead now.
He's killed. Yeah, they killed him.
Yeah. So his son is soldering something, and you can't tell from this first shot that it's a bomb. But I'm just gonna spoil and say it's a bomb.
Yeah,
he's making a bomb.
I think within a few seconds of this, I was like, he's building a motherfucking pipe bomb. Like that's exactly what this is.
So Deidre arrives on Ferrix in a Lambda class shuttle. She walks down the ramp, flanked by a couple of death troopers. Because that's just what you do when you're
when you're wearing white. Yeah, you get the tall, creepy death troopers.
6.5 feet tall, wearing their fancy black armor.
No dicks, by the way. Canonically, no dicks.
Huh.
I'm kidding. I made that up. I don't know if they have dicks or not. Now that I've said it, I want to believe they don't have dicks.
Yeah. So Bix is still being held prisoner at the hotel. She's having a very bad time. She's like not mentally all collected because she's heard the alien baby.
Yeah, I mean they've made her listen to Nickelback for 20 hours straight. Yeah. Like her brain is not right.
So Deidre goes to the hotel and she's looking at her through the security camera, and the Imperial officer in charge says, "Oh, I didn't know you're here. You're just in time for dinner." And Deidre's like, "Yeah, I ate on the way here. Don't worry about it. I'm actually just gonna get changed and walk around town." He's like, "Oh, well, I'll assign you an escort." She's like, "Nah, don't worry about it. Like we got our undercover guy. I'm gonna walk around with him."
Also, stop trying so fucking hard. I'm the person here that tries hard.
Yeah. So we get a few more shots of Bomb Boy making his bomb. So Spaceport guy, whose name is Zan, apparently, he's hanging around outside the scrapyard that Brasso works at, and Brasso walks out, and Zan's like, "Hey, so I got some news. Cassian called, and I might have told him that Aunt Petunia died."
Whoops.
Brasso's like, "Holy shit. Okay, let's just keep walking so that we look casual about this. Did you tell anybody that Cassian called?" And Zan's like, "No." He's like, "Okay, let's keep it that way. Did you tell Cassian there's a funeral? He's like, yeah, but I didn't tell him not to come because it was a really short call.
Mhm.
Brasso's like, okay, this is maybe sort of a problem. So they're like walking along. They split up. Watching all of this, if you remember all the way back, I think it was episode 1 when Cassian was walking down the street and some guy stops and is like, hey, where's my money?
Yeah.
That guy's name is Nurchi. He's still around and he sees Zan and Brasso talking, and you can see there's some gears going in his head right around this time.
Yeah.
So Imperial Agent Korv, which I guess is his name, and Deidre are just walking around Ferrix. Cinta is following them because that's the thing that was still happening.
Yeah. I don't want to ruin this, by the way, but you are perfectly synced up with our slideshow right now.
Oh, cool.
So whatever pace you're going, I probably messed it up now, but anyway.
Yeah. So we get another shot of the dude making a bomb. Nurchi and Zan go down to the cantina and they're having some drinks, and Nurchi's like, man, it really sucks that Aunt Petunia died. Like she was a pillar of this community. She was just holding us all together.
Yeah, after Uncle Vernon died, she fucking turned her life around.
Yeah, hey, you want another drink? And, it really sucks. He's like getting up to get Zan another drink. He's like, yeah, it really sucks that Cassian doesn't know. Like he'll never have a chance to say goodbye. And Zan is like, I wouldn't be too sure about that.
Yeah.
And she's like, whoa, hold the phone. Whatever it is, maybe just keep your secrets to yourself, Mr. Drunky Lips there.
Yeah.
So Nurchi walks up to the bar, but you can tell he's kind of smirking to himself. Like he's like, yeah, I got these fuckers.
Yeah. Yeah, I could tell when he said when he warned him not to say anything. I was like, like you're not gonna immediately turn around and tell somebody something.
Yeah, even before that, like he was baiting him so hard.
Yeah, like he was really fishing for information.
Yeah,
he's sleazy.
I think he already knew what was going on. He just wanted the actual confirmation.
Yeah.
So Bomb Boy is finished making his bomb. He looks at the hologram of his dead father next to the workbench. He's like, yeah, I'm going to blow up some Imperials with this bomb. So we jump to Coruscant, where Mon Mothma is sitting in her limo looking very uncomfortable.
Oh, God. Poor Mon Mothma.
Oh, God.
I feel so bad for her.
Yeah. So she's like, just so done with everything. Her husband joins her, and Mon Mothma's like, all right, fucking take us home. And by the way, driver, don't listen to any of this. Driver's like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Acts like he turns off the microphones, but he doesn't turn off the microphones.
He's like, I definitely won't eavesdrop.
I'm definitely not an ISB spy.
Yeah.
And I definitely won't be listening to any of this.
Which, by the way, I wonder if they know that they know that he's an ISB spy.
Do you think you mean the ISB knows that Mon Mothma knows?
Yeah.
I don't think they do.
I would suspect.
We'll come back to this at a later scene. But
well, this whole scene too is kind of crazy because as soon as you go through it, there's like I have a couple questions about this anyway.
Yeah, I think this makes perfect sense in the context of a later scene. But anyway, so they're back there. Mon Mothma's like, okay, Perrin, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why are you gambling again? Perrin's like, I'm not gambling. Like, who the fuck is telling you this? And she's like, no. Like, seriously, like. If you really need to gamble, like we talked about this, it's fine. Just go to fucking Canto Bight. What happens in Canto Bight stays in Canto Bight. Just don't fucking do it on Coruscant where everybody can fucking see it and link you to me. Perrin's like, dude, I fucking promised that I wouldn't gamble anymore, and I'm keeping that promise.
He very strongly denies.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is protesting the fuck out of this. He's like, they're trying to hurt you by slandering me. Like, where would I even get the money? You're the money in this relationship. Where would I even get the money to gamble? And Mon Mothma's like, that's the part that worries me the most. He's like, okay.
So now that you've mentioned it, I know exactly the scene that you're connecting to this later. So my thoughts, I'm gonna wait until then for to talk about that.
Yeah. So Perrin's like, well, look, honey, someone is lying to you, and she's like, well, we can certainly agree on that. And like, you just know, Perrin is sleeping on the couch tonight.
Oh yeah. He looks genuinely blindsided.
Yeah. So back on Ferrix, so Cinta gets back to her apartment, and Vel's just kind of hiding in a corner. Apparently, Cinta was supposed to pick Vel up at the airport, but something came up.
Yep.
Yeah. So like she noticed Deidre and the ISB guy were walking around, and she's like, I better follow those people. Vel's like, no, it's fine. You know. Definitely, like, we didn't talk about this. You definitely didn't agree to pick me up at the airport, and I definitely didn't have to take a bus down here with all the unwashed masses.
Yeah. Which, by the way, how hard would a relationship have to be, um, when you're in the rebellion? I think that's
Oh
kind of
God.
like what they're kind of underlying here, and that's another thing I really appreciate this show. So like, look, LGBT representation has not been great in movies or shows, right?
Hmm.
And look, Disney is trying to make it happen because it's popular. It's not because it's not necessarily. Look, if it was an idealistic thing, they wouldn't take scenes out for their Chinese market, right? Like, they would just say, "Oh, we're not selling to the Chinese market." So, like, look, I get it. Disney's a corporation. They're kind of gross. They're trying to kind of capitalize on what's popular. I will say that, like, there's a scene in Rise of Skywalker where there's like a kiss at the end. There's like a couple women kiss, and
It's like 2 seconds.
yeah. What I love about this is that this relationship is so subtly developed, and it's understood that they are together and that they're in love with each other, or at least that Vel is in love with Cinta, and Cinta needs a side piece because her true love is the rebellion.
Yeah, Cinta says it herself a couple episodes back. Like, the rebellion comes first, and you and I get whatever's left.
Right, and it's just, I love how they've treated this relationship, because it hasn't been super obvious and rubbed in our faces, and there's no way they can. I don't know. Does Disney Plus exist in China at all? Are they allowed to watch Disney Plus?
Maybe,
because there's no way that they're going to be able to take this out and have it make sense.
They'd have to do the Sailor Moon routine where they're just cousins.
Oh, right.
It's fine.
Oh, someone brought up Sailor Moon. Anyway, yeah, keep going.
Anyway, so Cinta is like using all her spy gear to keep a lookout, and she's like watching Aunt Petunia's house, and she's like, yeah, Cassian's definitely coming down to the funeral. Vel's like, yeah, you did the right thing. Can we talk for a second? And like Cinta turns, and they just kind of look at each other for a few seconds, and there's no more words in this scene, but I'm pretty like, I get the vibe that Vel's breaking up with Cinta here.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I'm not sure. All their interactions are really weird. Because
because their whole relationship is weird.
Yeah, and it's just like, neither one of them, because earlier I talked about Vel being in love with Cinta and Cinta being in love with the rebellion, but honestly, they're both in love with the rebellion, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're both heavily invested, and I'm actually really hoping that in season 2, we get a little bit of development on what happened to them, because as we find out at the end of this episode, some people come to the rebellion because their back just breaks, and they there's nowhere else to go, and they're like, you know what, fuck the Empire, I'm in, right?
Yeah.
So I would be really interested to know what happened to them that got them to that point.
Well, we know that season 2 is going to have like some year-long time skips stuck in it, so that I expect we're going to see some fallout of this relationship. I don't know that we're going to see the actual moments happening, if that makes sense.
Maybe they'll put it in a comic or something.
Yeah. So Cassian got back to Ferrix, and he's just kind of sneaking around late night / very early morning. He stops at a brick, and he kind of holds it, like touches it, and it has Orabesh on there, and it's the brick of his father Clem. So he flashes back to Clem, showing him how to clean this old heat sink,
a carburetor.
Yeah.
I assumed it's a carburetor.
I think it actually is a heat sink, but anyway, he's like, yeah, us people who are actually looking around at the whole world, looking up and down for opportunities, like we get things that ordinary people don't. Like, look at this fucking heat sink. Like, I just fucking, like, it's covered in rust. I fucking stick it in this oil bath for like 2 minutes, pull it out, it's good as new.
50 credits.
Yeah, I think he says 500,
or maybe 500. Yeah,
a new one would cost you 6 times as much, and people just don't want to fucking drop it in oil for 2 minutes and get it.
Yeah.
Like, you always got to keep your eyes open and find your opportunities, right?
Yeah. Also, don't pay for it. Make sure you steal it.
Yeah, definitely. So Cassian like kind of smiles as he walks away. So he goes to Bix's place, and he hops over the wall, and her guard dogs are barking at him. He pulls out his gun, like, the fucking lizard dog things are gonna understand what a gun is. Then Pegla. So this is the dude with like the bushy hair and the big beard.
Yeah, he runs that boneyard, the shipyard, right?
Yeah. So he's staying at Bix's place just until they sell it. And Cassian's like, wait, what do you mean sell?
Mm.
Like, where's Bix? Peglo's like, okay, don't get upset. Some things have changed since last you've been here.
Yeah, Nickelback's real popular with the Empire, by the way. I don't want to tell you this, but
Yeah,
they made her listen to it.
It cuts away before he tells her exactly what happened. But so the next sequence is Cassian playing back some of the manifesto from earlier. It's Nemec talking basically about how like freedom is really flexible and it can pop up all over the place.
Yeah.
But tyranny is very brittle and it has to like it always has to stomp out freedom all the time, or
and
else
it's like it's really high maintenance. Like they're constantly having to like plug leaks and shit. You know.
Mm-hmm. And while this is
exhausting.
We get some shots of Bix like still in the hotel and still miserable. Luthen, who has landed on Ferrix and is just like scoping the place out. Cassian is actually listening to this inside his like crashed ship clubhouse hideout place that he was in the first couple episodes. So there's a theatrical thunderstorm going on all this time, you know, to symbolize the Sturm und Drang of the whole situation. So the next morning, the Imperial officers are showing Deidre around, like, yeah, we have this hologram of the city. So like that they wanted to run it at midday, but we pushed it back 2 hours because we're dicks. They wanted to bring, like, we said they could bring 30 people, but they pushed back, so we were dicks and said they could bring 40 people. And you know, they have this half a block of Rick's Road, which is also the name of the episode, by the way. We're going to have this crowd control unit, and we have snipers here, and here, and it's going to be great. Deidre's like, no snipers. I actually need Cassian alive. Thank you very much. And if you could tell all your stormtroopers and stuff to not shoot the guy with the distinctive stubble, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So there's a shot of Vel in disguise walking around town while some stormtroopers ride past in a speeder with some big guns on it. And then we jump to Coruscant at ISB headquarters. So Blevin is talking to Mon Mothma's driver, the ISB plant, about the conversation they overheard last night. And they aren't quite sure whether Mon Mothma is more upset about Perrin lying or about his debts.
You're right.
Yeah. So Blevin says Mon Mothma's made some odd banking moves lately, and you know that this might be it.
Yeah.
So this sequence made me think that Mon Mothma invented Perrin gambling earlier.
Yes.
Like
Chris, she's burning him. She's setting him on fire and burning him. Like,
I don't think
what a savage.
Well, it's that she needs to cover for herself, right?
Yeah.
Like she's in trouble.
Because I mean,
he needs to explain the banking, and ISB is taking the bait here.
Yeah, because he's not going to get in trouble for gambling. Like, it's not like he's going to go to jail, I guess.
It'd be a minor political scandal, but like Mon Mothma is
she can weather it. Yeah,
like she's the acknowledged leader of the maybe we don't enact the Patriot Act faction of the Senate right now.
Right. Yeah, and it's like you know, if it kind of like makes her look more innocent as well. Like, oh, look at what happened to Mon Mothma. Her husband's a fucking habit gambler or whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
This is also why I'm pretty sure ISB doesn't know that she knows that there's an ISB agent watching her.
Yeah, because I guess they would assume that maybe it's possible that she's making it up.
Yeah. And they completely buy that this is legit.
Yeah, okay. I agree.
Yeah. So while they're having this chat, another ISB agent, a supervisor, walks past the office and said, hey, you know, the whole Anto Krieger thing is happening right now. You want to go watch it on the big screen? Blevin's like, yeah, okay, fine.
They're about to execute him. They got it in 1080p. Let's go watch.
4K even.
Yeah.
So they all
I guess
go down
1080p is kind of a relic of the past, isn't it?
Yeah, you're showing your age, Daniel.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So Blevin gets down to the conference room, and it's all over. Like, every single one of Krieger's guys is dead. Yep. There were no prisoners taken.
I would have loved to see this fight, because Krieger looked like such a badass. Like, he looked like a wrecking ball. Like, I kind of wanted to see that.
And then he just fucking dies.
Yeah. Rip.
So Deidre calls in and talks to Major Partagas, like, look, respectfully, what the fuck were you guys doing?
Like, respectfully, what the fuck?
This was my idea, and the whole idea of it was that we would get to capture some people because corpses can't be interrogated.
Yeah.
Partagas is like, okay, bitch, number one, you're not in charge here.
Yeah.
I am.
Yes.
Number two, this wasn't about finding out secrets about the rebellion. This was about getting revenge for Aldhani.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to be making policy and dictating who lives and dies, you need to fucking find Axis.
Yeah. Or go run for emperor. Which, by the
Yeah.
way, I thought it was really funny how he the turn of phrase they use there is scouring the taste of Aldhani from the emperor's mouth, which is like, I don't want to think about Palpatine's mouth like that.
That's very descriptive.
Yeah. He's got his
So
own mouth problems. I don't want to think about it.
So he hangs up on her, and Deidre just kind of looks out the window on Ferrix very pensively.
Mm-hmm.
It's another one of those great extended shots that you wouldn't get in a show with shorter episodes. So Luthen leaves his ship, hops on his speeder bike, and rides down into town. The ISB agent, Krav, or whatever the fuck his name is, he's just kind of sipping coffee and watching Aunt Petunia's house. The droid Bimo leaves with someone who is definitely not Brasso, and he immediately gets on his radio. He's like, okay, where the fuck is the big guy?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know who that is, but he's not the person we're supposed to be watching.
Yeah.
In the sewers, there's this building kind of near the hotel that has a sewer grate, and like Pegla is sitting by the sewer grate and keeping a lookout while Cassian is going over his gear and getting ready to go do his secret agent shit.
Mm-hmm.
Brasso comes down the sewers, and he and Cassian have an embrace, and you can, like, Cassian is really bothered by his mother's death. And
he doesn't even have time to like stop and take a breath and grieve either.
Yeah.
Like it's constant action for him.
Yeah, he's just like, I wanted her to leave with me, and like,
and that's the other thing. He gets really defensive with Brasso, like not like angry defensive, but like he had to explain to someone that he tried to make, like he tried not to have this happen. Like he tried really hard.
He tried, and then he couldn't get back for 3 months or whatever because he was in prison.
Yeah. I think he needed someone to understand that it wasn't his fault.
Yeah. And like the beauty of this scene is that Brasso never once blames him for anything.
Yeah.
And like when he starts giving him like Aunt Petunia's last words or whatever, like she doesn't blame him for anything either.
Right. Yeah.
Like, so Brasso's like, dude, seriously, just stop guilt tripping you. Before she died, Aunt Petunia said that you know everything you need to know and you feel everything you need to feel, and that like when the time comes, you're gonna be able to put it all together, and also that I love you more than everything that you've ever done wrong.
Right.
Which is really just the perfect message to give to someone like Cassian.
Yeah.
Who has done a lot of messed up shit in his life.
Yeah, and it weighs on his shoulders because he I mean, she's right. He's a good person. So the stuff that he's done that's been really sketchy or just morally, monstrous, like that stuff bothers him.
Like that time he killed 2 security guards.
Yeah, shot them straight in the fucking face. Yeah.
So Cassian is like, okay, so Bix is in the hotel. Why the fuck are they still keeping her alive? And Brasso's like, I don't know. I guess she must know something.
Yeah.
Cassian's like, well, I'm just gonna fucking take my gun and I'm gonna go get her out of there. And Brasso's like, dude, you're gonna take on an entire fucking garrison? Like, what are you smoking right now?
Mm-hmm.
Like, seriously, like, I'll take care of the funeral. I'll put her brick in the wall. You just take care of yourself. Cassian's like, it's too late for that. A line that has a lot of meaning when we get to the very last scene of this episode.
Right. Yeah.
So on a bus from the spaceport, it's the same bus that Luthen took in like episode 1 when he first arrived on Ferrix. Cyril and his incredibly Scottish sergeant are kind of like sitting across the aisle, and like they're not doing a very good job of it, but they're like not looking at each other, like trying to pretend like they don't know each other.
Right.
And the sergeant fucking just holds his hat across the aisle, and Cyril sits there for like saying like, oh god, I guess we're doing this. And they trade hats.
Why? I'm not really even sure. Maybe because they match better with the other outfit.
I think they're exchanging some coded message. Like if you notice, they look down on the inside of the hats before they put them on.
Oh.
I don't know if that's the case.
Yeah.
I imagine this would have made, like, my suspicion is that they shot another scene that sort of goes with this and explains it, but they had to cut it for editing reasons.
Yeah, maybe.
So Cassian climbs up to the roof crawl space of the building he's in, where there's like little, like it's all brick, but there's little windows in there so that he can look down.
Little peepee holes.
Yeah. So he's looking down on Rick's Road, which goes right in front of the hotel. Pegla leaves the building, And Nurchi is kind of lurking in an alley nearby and sees him. And again, you can see like Nurchi's calculating, like, yeah, so something's going on here. So there's a squad of stormtroopers walking by, and Vel's just kind of lounging on a porch watching him, drinking some I don't know, Gatorade or whatever.
Star Wars Gatorade.
Yeah, space Gatorade. Luthen walks up and he's like, hey, so is Cassian here? And she's like, well, the Imperials certainly seem to think so. There's an ISB supervisor in town. Luthen's like, the woman? She's like, well, you fucking know this chick? Luthen's like, not yet, but it's it's a good thing the Imperials are doing all the work for us. So if they think Cassian's here, Cassian's probably here. All we gotta do is kill him before the Imperials can start interrogating him. Vel's like, well, okay, so the funeral's supposed to start in a few hours. You'll hear the fucking anvil start clanging. Luthen's like, all right, so you and Cinta get down here and watch the hotel and get ready to move. Just then, fucking anvil starts going off, and I guess the people of Ferrix decided, fuck you, Empire, we're running this funeral at midday.
Yeah, I thought that was really great, where they're like, you know what, we'll have our funeral when the fuck we want to have our funeral.
We will have our funeral the way we want to have this funeral. So Cassian is up there, he's watching the hotel. We get a few shots of this sort of this marching band with these I gotta talk about these instruments, because like you can look underneath them and see like there are real
world instruments. Yeah,
they've just been like Star Wars up with a whole bunch of
I'm pretty sure the French horns are just French horns.
I think so.
With things like, and like the bell is more like there's a paneled bell instead of like a hammered bell and everything.
So they have some French horns, they have some trumpets, they have flutes. I think they have baritones or some sort.
They look like horn and no one's gonna care about this, but they're horns in E flat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're like baritones, but they're in E flat.
Yeah.
They got the flute things with like they use the literal flute keywork and stuff on it. It's the most realistic looking. Like when you look at the instruments in A New Hope, when they're doing the Cantina Band, like none of that shit looks real, right? It's like a box with a fucking thing coming out of it and shit. Like these look like they could be functional instruments. It's really, really cool.
And like when they start playing, it's all a little bit out of tune, but like intentionally so.
Yeah. Well, because they kind of noodle around to warm up, and then they like kind of tune and everything.
But even when they start like doing their organized playing, it's still a little bit out of tune.
Well, yeah, it's a fucking marching band. They're always out of tune. Yeah. That's what they do.
So Deidre is walks up to the Imperial officer in charge, like, okay, what the fuck's going on? And the officer's like, I don't actually know. I'm gonna go figure out what's happening here. So the funeral marchers are all assembling and getting ready, and everyone is along the parade route. And
which, by the way, what at least one of those Imperials is like. Do you think they know the Imperial March?
So like it's all the Ferrix people, but also Luthen and Cyril and his sergeant. The band starts marching, playing this really cool slow dirge, and there's this horde of marchers following behind them.
It's very Louisiana funeral kind of thing. Yeah,
very much so. So like
a little less Dixie.
Yeah,
like it's not jazz or anything, but it's like the same custom, like
Yeah. So Bomb Boy joins the procession with a very, very conspicuous satchel, as does the ISB
his pipe bomb satchel.
Yeah. So as long as the ISB guy and Cinta and Vel's running around the back streets trying to find this, the Imperials are like, okay, this isn't supposed to be happening. Like, get all our guys out in front of the hotel. We need to put up a show of force here.
Yeah. I like how, by the way, all the Imperials can sense that something weird is happening, but they just can't put their finger on it. They don't know what to do. They're like, what? Like, do we guard something? Do we hit somebody? Like, I don't know what to do. Yeah. They're just playing instruments, but it feels like we're about to get killed.
It's like the other sequences where the people of Ferrix start like banging on metal.
Yeah, they just get real anxious. Like, why are you banging? Yeah.
So up in her prison cell, Bix hears the music and she's like, she kind of sings along a little bit to it.
Yeah, I think this is one of those things where everyone in the city on Ferrix knows, because they've participated so many times, that they just know what it is.
Mm-hmm. So Cassian is still up there, and he has his little like mono scope out, and he's like looking at the hotel and sees all the Imperials scrambling around. And then he turns to the side and he sees Luthen is just kind of perched over there, and he's like, "Oh shit, I know that guy."
Yeah.
Um,
Well, he's got a look on his face like that motherfucker's here to kill me. Like why
Probably,
else?
yeah.
Why else would he be here?
So the ISB guy runs into Nurchi. Nurchi's like, "Okay, you're gonna give me double my usual rate, and you're gonna fucking ship me off world." And the ISB's like, "Wait, you found him?" Nurchi's like, "All right, like just pretend you're arresting me." So he gets like put in an arm lock and like dragged back up to the hotel. Cyril and his sergeant try to get down to the parade, but there's this Imperial guy like, "Hey, back the fuck up."
Yeah.
ISB guy has gotten his tip from Nurchi by this point. He goes up to tell Deidre and the Imperial guy in charge about where Cassian is, and it's actually the building where he is. Deidre's like, "Okay, all you guys are fucking running around like chickens with your heads cut off. I'm just gonna take my 2 death troopers and go over there and capture him. Capture, because as I want to emphasize once again, I need him alive."
Right.
Because she's feeling a little touchy about this.
Mm-hmm.
So the marching band arrives like at the far end of the street from the hotel. Brasso and Bimo walk up to the front. Brasso has Aunt Petunia's brick. Cassian is watching this, and he's just like, "Man, I wish I was down there."
Yeah.
Like he doesn't have any lines or anything, but just
yeah.
it's
his mother's
pure,
funeral, and he's hiding in a fucking building. Yeah.
It's pure Diego Luna acting, and he does it very well. So the band switches from this dirge to a slightly different tune that's also really good.
Yeah, it's actually it goes with the plot. I mean, it's a sudden change in feel, and there's more action, and it's a much faster like piece of music, and like it's kind of badass. It kind of sounds like, like these guys are gonna come and hit us in the head with their instruments or something.
There's this great shot that it starts like behind the Imperials at the hotel, where they're running out. They have these big old riot shields and are making a shield wall in the middle of the street, and then the camera like swoops down to the marching band coming down, playing this newly badass piece of music. And so Bix is up there listening to this, and she seems to like be calming down a little bit, like becoming a little bit less anxious as she's hearing this, which, music therapy, it's a real thing. Cyril watches Deidre walk down the stairs. I was like, "Holy shit, I just got a boner." Yeah,
just fucking pulls it out. Look at her walk. She's so sexy.
So the funeral march is walking down the street. As Deidre and her guys enter the building Cassian's in, the ISB guy climbs up because the fucking death troopers won't fit because they're too big to fit up the ladder. Yeah. He's like, "Yeah, no, there's no one up there. Cassian's definitely not there." Because the thing is, he's already down in the sewers sneaking into the hotel. Funeral marchers reach this little like village square halfway down the street. Yeah, it's where they hung. It's where they hung his father. And they form a circle and they start chanting "Stone and Sky," just over and over again. "Stone and Sky." And Bix hears this and says it once, and it's like you were saying earlier. Like this is So she's like pretty mentally broken. She needs some help, I think. But this sort of tradition that she's lived through and seen so many times, which has a lot of meaning to her culture, is kind of connecting with her. Yeah, in a very, very. It's at least grounding, like bringing her back to earth a little bit. Yeah. So in the hotel kitchen, like Cassian has snuck up from the sewers into the kitchen, because apparently you just connect the sewers to the kitchen in Star Wars. Yeah. A cook comes downstairs and Cassie pulls his gun on him. He's like, "Oh, hey, wait a minute, I recognize you. Where's Bix?" And the cook is like, "Yeah, she's up there. Sorry about your mom." Yeah, I didn't see you. Goodbye. So the dude in the fucking anvil tower clangs it one more time, and Bimo rolls up and creates this giant hologram of Aunt Petunia. This is probably like her last will or whatever, like recorded right before she died. A visually stunning addition to the episode, by the way. Yes, for sure. So Steven says Skarsgård has a lot of sons in Hollywood, especially Eric from True Blood. Oh yeah, his other son was fucking Pennywise the clown from It. Oh, yeah, cool. So Aunt Petunia gives a speech about how Ferrix is all about our traditions and our history, and we stick together and we have each other. We bang on metal when shit gets real. Yeah, I remember going to all these funerals and how the dead always inspired me to do better, and I guess now it's my turn to inspire all of you. So like I want Ferrex to keep going the way we always have, but I'm afraid because we've all been asleep. Like
Mhm.
we've been ignoring the Empire as it got worse and worse and worse because we just fucking kept our noses to the grindstone and kept the shops open and did what they told us to.
Kept the trade lanes open.
Yep. But now they're back, and like we can't go back to sleep or the Empire is going to choke out all the good in the galaxy. Like you all need to fucking just wake up and fight back. And like I know it's easy for the dead people to tell the living to go fight, but seriously, you got to go do this.
Mhm.
While she's giving this speech, there's just all these shots of other things happening, like Deidre making her way back to the hotel.
It's
Cassie,
everything just falling into place, like right in the
Yeah.
right spot. Everything is just about to freak out.
Cassian is sneaking his way through the completely empty hotel because everyone's outside. All the people of Ferrex are watching this. The Imperials are also watching this and getting very irate about it.
Well, yeah, because they're listening. Like they're like,
Finally, she's like, "Fuck the Empire, go fight them."
Yeah,
And the Imperial was like, "Okay,
Yep.
that crosses the line."
Yep.
He runs up and like pulls off his cloak and like tries to cover the hologram projector,
Mm.
but does the world's worst job about it.
Daniel
He's
Daniel is true Jedi says Daniel is true Jedi. Well, thank you.
Huh.
Also,
Yeah.
is that your YouTube handle? And then Steven says, in the real world, that message would have been stopped way before it got crazy. Well,
Yes.
yeah, I'm not so
Yes.
sure. I think the way that Marva worded everything, like the danger didn't come in her speech until it was just too late, because everything is very metaphorical until she gets to that one spot where she's like, oh, and fuck the Empire. Like
Yeah.
it just kind of comes out of nowhere.
So Imperial officer dude runs up and he like fucking kicks over BMO, and Brass is like, "What the fuck?
Yeah,
You can't kick that droid."
motherfucker, dude. So John and I watched this morning when we woke up, and we both
Mhm.
gasped. We're like,
Yeah.
you. I'm
'Cause,
just like waiting for someone to shoot that man right in the fucking face.
Because like BMO's a precious little strawberry,
Yeah.
and you can't imagine
And
anyone
frankly-
ever wanting to hurt him.
And frankly, how fucking dare you?
Yeah. So Brasso like fucking kicks this dude in the chest.
Yeah, he
like,
goes
fucking
hard. Yeah.
Smacks another dude over the head with Marva's brick.
Yeah, just oh my god, that's another like we almost gasped there too. He just clocks that guy right in the fucking face. Yeah.
And like, if there's an afterlife, Aunt Petunia's looking at that like, hell yeah,
Nice.
you used my
Yeah.
brick for the right
Yep.
purpose.
Look at Brasso go.
Yeah, so the Ferrex people are just starting a complete riot, and the Imperials are like, "Oh shit, maybe we should use these shields to like not die."
Mm.
So Cassian's sneaking around. He like throws down a guard and fucking shoots him point blank. While the Ferrex people are like bashing at all these riot shields, the Imperial officer like crawls to his side of the line.
Mm.
The anvil starts banging again, and
Yeah,
storm-
that dude gets up there in the tower and he's like, "Oh, it's time to get this fucking party started."
Oh,
and he
yeah.
starts hitting that. Oh man, that was pretty cool too. Which is really
Like-
funny because they're like, that's another one of those things where like the Imperials are already kind of freaking out, and then like the clanging starts again, and they're like, "Oh shit,
Yeah.
not this again."
what is it with the metal of
Yeah.
these people? So like one stormtrooper is ordered to go up there and silence the anvil so that they're not gonna do any more banging.
That was like when the stormtrooper smacked Grogu. Yes, yeah.
So Cassian gets up to Bix's room. She's like, "Yeah, I had a dream about you. You came over the wall and we talked," which is just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because like she can't even distinguish between reality
What's real and not? Yeah.
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 Cassian's like, "Okay, like we should go," and she's like, "No. I don't want to listen to any more Nickelback. Like if I leave this room, they're gonna bring the Nickelback back,
Yeah.
and I don't want that."
No more Nickelback.
Yeah.
Fuck
So
the
the Imperials-
Empire. Fuck Nickelback.
Yeah, speaking of the Empire, they're fucking tasering and arresting people.
Mm.
I get the feeling their tactics here were based on a lot of the police response to a lot of the Black Lives Matter protests.
Yeah, or any of the civil rights stuff in our past too. Yeah.
Very much so. So Deidre
Richard
arrives at
says
the-
was an excellent episode. Andor delivers. Agreed. And Steven
yep,
says photograph.
So Deidre gets back to the hotel, and Cyril's like, "Holy shit, there she is! My boner just grew another inch."
Yeah. Oh God.
So while all this is happening, Bomb Boy is kind of watching the front lines, and like his face is kind of twitching.
Dude, watching this actor was like, he's just like coming unglued the entire time,
Yeah.
and finally he just kind of snaps.
And this is what I mean. Like every single performance is fantastic.
Yeah.
Even this bit actor who had like maybe 30 seconds of screen time before this episode.
Yeah.
Is just doing such a fantastic. He reaches into his bag, fucking turns on his pipe bomb, hurls it over the shield wall.
Leroy Jenkins just fucking right into the
out. It fucking blows the fuck up. It knocks the speeder over, which had a whole bunch of grenades or something in it, and all of those blow the fuck up.
Because of course they do. Yeah.
Yeah. And this like just the hotel is blown the fuck up. The windows are shattered. All the Imperials are on the ground. There's this huge cloud of smoke. Like it's a huge fucking mess. So Luthen sees all this happen. He's like, you know what? I don't want to be here anymore. And he just kind of sneaks away through the alleys. Vel goes running directly into the smoke. I don't know if she's looking for Cinta or Cassian or what. But
probably Cassian.
Yeah. So like the mourners are kind of stuck halfway between like, should we run away or should we like keep beating up the Empire? Like, because I could go either way right now. The Imperial officer finally like gets over his shell shock and he's like, hey, all you guys with guns, fucking shoot those bitches.
Open fire, because
yep,
this is exactly what you would expect from a fucking authoritarian regime.
Yeah. So they start fucking shooting and it's just pandemonium now.
Yeah.
Two stormtroopers saw Bomb Boy throw the bomb. They're like, hey, let's fucking go arrest that kid.
Mm-hmm.
The Brasso shows up and beats the shit out of him. And he's like, okay, Bomb Kid, we're leaving. Let's go. And there's a shot where Zan, the communications guy, is like jumping on a stormtrooper's back, trying to keep him from shooting a woman.
Mm-hmm.
He gets shot by another stormtrooper.
Yep.
It's very sad.
Yeah, they show him they're fucking dead in the street for like an uncomfortable span of time too.
It's meant to be uncomfortable. Yeah. Like that is why the shot is constructed that way. So in a nearby alley, ISB guy is walking around. He looks over his shoulder. He's like, hey, wait a minute, because Cinta's there because she just follows him. That's what she does.
Mm.
He's like, okay, who the fuck are you and why are you following me? And she like kind of ducks into a doorway and she's like, I'll give you my ID. It's this knife, which she stabs him with.
Yeah. Oh, which by the way, Richard says, so how about the ending? Do you really think he wants Cassian dead, captured? I think Cassian's going to get a promotion. The rebellion has just begun.
We'll get there.
Yeah. And we're going to get there fairly fast too.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can yada yada some of the non-important stuff.
Yeah. So let me just skip ahead a little bit here. So Cassian is like dragging Bix down the stairs. He has this cool action dive where he shoots a death trooper and sees that Nurchi died in the explosions. Deidre pulls out her gun and is trying to shoot rioters, but she gets like a rock gets thrown at her and then she's like on the ground like scrambling to try to get her gun back.
And they're like trying to fucking get her. Yeah.
So Deidre eventually gets kind of dragged off to the side by Cyril, who pushes her into a building. And she to her credit, she immediately grabs the nearest metal thing and is about to bash his head in with it.
I swear to God, the look on Cyril's face is like, is this happening now? Is it finally happening?
Like,
penetrate me. I don't know how. Just penetrate me.
So like she's staring at him and they're like really close. I'm like, okay, are they going to kiss?
I kind of thought that they might kiss.
Yeah.
Just because like Deidre was about to die and she'd realized she'd never like had a man before or something, and she's like, well, let's do it.
Being serious, I don't think it's that. I think it's that like she's
I think she was just real close to killing him and was just like physically close to him.
Yeah, because like she's really good at like ordering people to do terrible things from far away.
Yeah.
But I think that might have been the first time she was in a riot where she had to like shoot people to
get
not
her hands
die.
dirty. Yeah.
Yeah. The stormtrooper makes it up the anvil tower, and then the fucking anvil guy fucking Sparta kicks him off.
Dude. Oh my God.
This is Ferrix.
Yeah. I'm gonna get a GIF of that, I think.
Yeah. So Luthen is a couple blocks away looking at the road, and he's like, okay, fuck this. I'm out of here. We're leaving.
Yeah, this has gotten a little too crazy.
It's a little out of hand.
And I like things crazy, and I like a good explosion. But that being said, I think I'm gonna go now.
Yeah. So Vel and Cinta are like scrambling to pack up all the spy gear in Cinta's apartment. Vel's like, hey, wait a minute, you're bleeding. And Cinta's like, oh no, don't worry about it. It's not my blood.
Yeah, I killed somebody. Don't worry.
Yeah. So Bomboy, Pegla, Bimo, Brasso, and their friend Jez are all trying to get a ship ready to fly back in Pegla's boneyard or whatever. They're about to take off when Cassian and Bix get there. Cassian and fucking Bimo has this. Like, he's the first one to see Cassian.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah. So Cassian's like, all right, you guys are going to go to Ganji Moon. And Bemo's like, you aren't coming? And Cassian's like, no. Like, I'll see you guys again. Don't worry about it. Like, Bimo, you got to look after Bix. And
I'm
Bemo's
counting
like,
on you. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Bix is like, no, it's fine. He'll find him. He always does. Cassian's like, yeah, that's right. I'm going to find you guys. Now get the fuck out of here. And they take off and leave. Back on Coruscant, Mon Mothma and her family are walking through a consulate hallway in a very definite formation.
Yeah.
Servants open the door and they see Davo the Lone Shark and his family in a very similar formation. And like Mon Mothma is very clearly not okay with this.
Yeah.
But her, to me, it felt like, because like her daughter gives her a look over her shoulder and then looks back at this kid, and like I get the feeling she's gonna date this kid just to piss Mon Mothma off.
And you know what's funny is that the son looks like the hugest fucking prick in the whole world.
Yeah. Oh God. Season 2, they're gonna be married and it's gonna be gross.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they're like marrying age already because Chandril is really fucking weird. Yeah.
So on Ferrex, Sergeant what's his name is just kind of like collapsed in the street drinking from his flask.
He's got his flask out. The motherfucker.
Oh, this is my kind of party.
Yeah.
So Luthen is on his speeder bike and he's flying overland to the same canyon he parked in the first time. And he's like, "Hey droid, get us the fuck out of here," all stealthy like. The droid doesn't answer right away. Luthen's like, "Okay, that's kind of weird."
I can't.
So he goes
do that,
up there.
Luthen.
He gets up to the cockpit and like the droid's fine. He's kind of looking at him.
Yeah, he just like looks at him, like stares at him, like I'm staring at you.
Yeah. So here's footsteps behind him. Luthen turns and sees Cassian is standing right there. And Cassian's like, "You came here to kill me, didn't you?" Luthen's like, "Well, you don't fucking make that easy, do you?" Cassian's like, "I will now." And he kind of like gestures at this little table next to the cockpit door. And Luthen looks down and like, there's Cassian's gun. Luthen just kind of picks it up. He's like, "Okay, like, what game
what's
are
the
you playing?"
catch? Yeah, what's the catch?
Cassian's like, "Look, no game. Either kill me or take me with you."
Yeah, and I think he genuinely means that. I think in this moment he doesn't care if he shoots him in the head or whatever. Like, I just don't think he cares.
Luthen looks down at the gun for a second, looks back at Cassian, and he gives him what I'm pretty sure is Luthen's first completely genuine smile. Yeah, like not Stellan Skarsgård, but Luthen.
Right, without the wig, without the fake smile and everything. Yeah, I totally agree. Yep.
Because Luthen knows that Cassian is pretty fucking capable and would be pretty good.
And now he's experienced that thing where like there's no turning back. He's like he's in the rebellion as much as anyone else.
Yes. Yeah. So the credits roll, but halfway through, we get a shot of some droids like assembling some solar panels and those fucking big 5-legged spider things, the big metal things they're making in the prison. Those are like forming the kind of the hubs where all the solar panels connect.
Connectors,
yeah, and it zooms out some more, and we see that these are actually panels for the Death Star's super laser. So Cassian
zooms out
Andor,
some more, and they show the whole fucking Death Star. Yeah.
So Cassian Andor made the Death Star.
Yeah,
that's
good job,
twist.
Cassian. Rakesh says, so Deidre Miro's like, great. I just got saved by that creep. Should I need glasses. Throw him into a loony bin or give him an ISB application sheet. Karn says, give me the special form.
I think she's about to hire Cyril. Yeah.
Confirmed the driver is an ISB spy. I think we knew that pretty early on. I don't think that was a secret. So because we started late, we're kind of like scrambling to get everything on time here. So thank you so much for joining us for this recap. We'll be back next week, Wednesday.
Before you go, I've one last thing I want to mention. The first 3 episodes, Cassian's motivation was kind of looking for his long lost sister, but they kind of dropped that plot thread entirely.
I noticed that, and I think it's going to come back in season 2.
I hope it does.
I think I've seen theories about it being Cinta.
Maybe.
So I don't know. I do hope they bring that back. That might have been one thing that kind of ended up on the editing room floor at some point.
Maybe.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll be back next week. First week without a fucking Andor recap. We're going to be doing some Star Wars story time. We got some cool comics to talk about. So I hope you join us then. We will be playing Battlefront here in just a couple seconds. Join us then. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in and putting your chats in the comment section. Comment